And with that, we're now at 3 o'clock, so I think people will continue to stream in. I'll post something else in general just to remind people the call's starting. But yeah, feel free to get started whenever you're ready, Tyler.
Awesome. I can give a little quick intro. I think this is my first time up on the stage or really talking in a big governance call or anything like that. So my name is Tyler. I'm currently with the centralized ShapeShift operations department. And I also have a proposal that is just about to end in ideation for me to be the workstream leader of the operations workstream going forward with the DAO. And I've been with ShapeShift for a little under 5 years. And I've worn a lot of hats in a lot of different departments, but I've found my home recently over the last year and a half in operations. Now that intro is out of the way, we can get started with the slides. If you're looking at this on Zoom, you can see the POAP on that first slide there, and grab your NFT if you'd like. And we will show that POAP up as well at the end of this. So if you miss it in the beginning, you'll still be able to grab it there at the end. And I believe Chow may even have a link that we can drop in the stage chat as well of that POAP. So if you need the URL instead of the QR, you'll be able to grab that as well. And we can go on to our agenda for this meeting. So we're going to talk about some recent proposals, one that recently passed soft quorum. We'll also go over the current proposals that are up for vote. And then we've got a whole bunch of stuff in ideation or the forum posts. So we'll get to those. And then we'll leave some space to discuss potential future proposals or to get Q&A on active ones inside the forum or at ideation. And then we'll also have some open space for Q&A if we get time to at the end. So first and foremost, we did have something pass. That was LPX's proposal that just passed in soft quorum.
Hey, sorry. Please mute yourself on causing feedback. Darwin, it looks like you have a hot mic there.
Yeah.
Whoever's controlling the Zoom call, I think that might be you, Fox McCloud. Is there any way you can auto mute everybody? I'm not sure, but if you can, please do.
Thank you for that, John and Fox. So if we look at the first proposal that passed in this last week, that was the Unified Information API and Globalization of Fox token. That was proposed by LPX. Last governance call, we did have some brief overview of that from Gray Machine and Hunt. Unfortunately, LPX's time zone, I believe, is in Korea, so it's really difficult for us to get the person who created this proposal on. So we are in talks with them to get a more AMA-style in-depth talk about this work stream now that it's passed, and we will be posting the details of that on something that's a little more manageable in their time zone. Where we'll be able to go into more details. So I don't want to derail too much of this governance call going into a proposal that I did not propose and I don't know the fine details of. But as you can see on the slide there, the total proposed budget, depending on how many languages are able to be translated in the time slot, we're looking at around 44,000 to 55,000 USD value. And I don't want to get too much more into it without knowing the specifics, but we will post later on in the announcements channel or the proposal channel a time that we can have a call to go more in depth. So if you have questions about LPX's proposal or how we're going to implement that, stay tuned for that call. Next, we're going to hop over to the two active proposals that we have right now, and they're both involving our engineering work stream. We've got Josh, who proposed these, is actually not able to make this call, so we've got two representatives from the engineering team that are going to hop up and talk, or it looks like DeFi Cafe is already up here on the stage, so I might take it away with you if you'd like to give more in depth on both the work stream, and then we can move to the slide about the specific bounty proposal as well.
Absolutely. I'll give it my best shot. in Josh's absence. Just to introduce myself, by the way, I'm one of the engineering managers at ShapeShift, and we'll be continuing on with the DAO as well. So there's an active proposal for an engineering workstream to be created. So the necessity for this is that we have some centralized infrastructure that we need to maintain, and due to security reasons, we can't open all that stuff up. And there's also going to be some core development work that's going on where we don't want to be passing proposals for every tiny little chunk of work that needs to be done. We'll have a general product roadmap that'll be public, and the engineering workstream will be working on that. So that's the function of why that workstream's been created. And Josh Foreman's going to be has proposed it and has proposed to assign himself as the workstream leader. To give some context there, Josh is our engineering director, and I believe he's been with ShapeShift for about 4 years now. I would jump on to the next slide. And then a separate proposal, just so sort of separation of concerns. There's one proposal to actually create the workstream, and then there's a second proposal for a bunch of Fox, so 200,000 to be allocated to the engineering workstream for an open source bounty program. So this means that we'll, I guess we can announce a little bit later, there will be some open source stuff happening soon, and we want community contributions as soon as possible to that. And so we'll be scoping up the chunks of work that can be easily tackled by the community and assigning bounties to those. So this proposal is for that bounty budget.
Awesome. Thanks, DeFi Cafe. Adam, I see you jumped on stage too. Would you like to introduce yourself and maybe see if there's anything else you'd like to fill in the holes? Well,
sure. So I'm Adam. I'm a principal engineer at ShapeShift in its current incarnation. I've been with the company for a few years, and I'm looking forward to our decentralized and open source future more than I can put into words, really. I think James did a good job summing things up there. So yeah, the second proposal on the list, I think it was the second one you talked about, is really about engaging all of you, engaging the community really as soon as we can. So as we're getting like our initial open source offerings ready to open up to everyone, we definitely already have in mind and have been looking for good things that we could put up as bounties that would be, within reach and a good way to sort of get onboarded and get an introduction to working in the ShapeShift code base and working through the process. And we just have a lot of experimentation and learning to do along the way here, I think, and the sooner we can start doing that, the better. About it.
thanks for that, Adam. Now that we've gotten a little bit more of an overview of this proposal or the two proposals, I'd like to take a minute now if anyone wanted to raise their hands and ask questions of our two representatives for these proposals, then we can address any of those now before we move on. One request from Bonsai. Not exactly sure how to do that. Oh, it looks like we just got Bonsai up. You're on the stage, Bonsai. Go ahead and ask your question.
Can you hear me now?
Sure can.
All right. Yeah, I was wondering, is it already known, like, how the bounty program is going to work? Is it like through Gitcoin or some other way?
So I don't know that we've nailed it down yet. Gitcoin was one of the options being discussed. Yeah, so definitely can't speak in concrete terms. I think see a bounty that interests you, you can express interest with a proposal to take that bounty on. I think the idea there is to make sure we're getting quality work and not just incentivizing a race to, here it is, it works, it's done, I met the bounty. We definitely want to go for quality there. As far as the exact mechanism, I'm not 100% on that yet.
You're right, Adam. It was the language in the proposal left it open. It said that the bounties will be posted in a public forum. So the one thing that's for sure is the community will have access to them. Josh mentions that the DAO Discord could work, as could posting on Gitcoin. And I know that Josh is talking with the Gitcoin team right now about potentially like doing all the bounties through Gitcoin and having Gitcoin do some co-promotion around them as well.
Cool. Thanks, Willie.
Okay, thanks.
I had a question about, well, first of all, I wanted to also offer that I have experience managing teams of developers in an open source situation and splitting up work both into grants and bounties, and sort of there's a conversation to be had there about what the difference is. So I'm happy to leverage my experience if that helps you guys. But I also was wondering, I understand that these engineering proposals are largely broad strokes. But one of the things that I didn't really see addressed when I was reading through the proposals was essentially innovation, for lack of a better word. Is there's other blockchains and there's other token ecosystems, and I'd love to see ShapeShift, leverage the power of the DAO to move in multiple directions at once. And so I'm just wondering if anybody can speak to sort of how maybe ShapeShift has approached that in the past, or if there's been any discussion about how to approach that in the future. Of basically what you don't know, the opportunities that are going to come along that you can't anticipate at this moment.
Yeah, I can speak to that, and I think it's really relevant too, because the proposal to fund the product workstream just went live, and so if you look through that proposal, you'll see that one of the primary responsibilities of the product workstream is to do that research, is to speak with users, research the industry, and basically make a proposal to the community for what the product workstream, in collaboration with the engineering workstream and potentially other work streams, what the work streams think is the best roadmap. So that's one way to make sure that we are doing that research, and we have a work stream dedicated to that, and that we are doing our best to always prioritize like the most important things to build, because there's a lot of stuff to build, and we certainly want to build as much as we can, but there's also, we can only build so much, right? So taking the resources we have and coming up with what we think is the optimal roadmap to allocate those resources to new feature development. That said, there still is a path for other features outside of that proposed roadmap to still get prioritized. So that the goal for that product workstream and for that roadmap is to make sure that we are innovative and that we're building the most important things. But it's also it's not exclusive, and it doesn't mean that just because that roadmap is approved by the community, that additional features or integrations and stuff can't also be prioritized.
Mind if I add a little bit to that, Billy?
Please.
Yeah, just from a technical perspective, all will be revealed shortly, but the way our new backend is architected, it really makes it easy to plug in new chains. So this is something that we'd more than welcome the community to come along and add. Same with the new front end as well. But we've always been chain agnostic. We've never been maximalists in one way or another. So like anyone wanting to come along and add other chains will most certainly be able to.
Yeah, well said, James. That's exactly my hope. From day one, we should be adding new integration support for new chains in parallel with other feature development and things on the roadmap.
Awesome. Thanks, fellas, for that. I think that really clearly outlines how engineering will be able to continue to stay on top of those new exciting projects. Looks like we have a couple more people that jumped in with questions. Seth, do you want to ask your question?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yep.
Okay. So I am very excited about the engineering workstream proposal and the prospect of becoming a bounty hunter. But one concern I do have is sort of the process of getting started. So my question is, are there any plans to provide some basic resources on how to get started? In particular, I'm interested in the things like the technology stack you're using, right? Because if I don't understand that, it's going to be very difficult to be useful.
Yeah. Adam, do you want to take that one?
Sure. Yeah, I was just going to say, I mean, a good part of what we're doing now is putting together the resources to make it as simple as possible to be onboarded, to become educated in the stack, awareness in the technologies. So that's definitely one of our biggest focuses of the past few weeks. Since the public announcement came out, is to really streamline the mechanism to onboard and become an effective contributor.
And that covers both like documentation itself. We literally had a meeting about an hour ago about that, and process as well. So like GitHub issues, project management, stuff like that. So yeah, like outside of nice, new, clean, well-architected code, our biggest consideration is making it easy for people to come on board and familiarize themselves with the code base.
Okay, I'm glad to hear that. That was my primary concern, because breaking down your massive code base into a small enough chunk to provide value, that's sort of the biggest problem that I face as a new contributor. So
Absolutely,
thanks
and
for answering
super
that.
valid concern.
Yeah.
Thanks for your question.
Totally.
Seth, we got Savage Stocks up here as well. Do you want to ask your question before we hop on to the next subject?
I'm sorry, what? You guys addressed my question.
Yeah. Oh, no, sorry, Seth. We'll let you back in the audience. There's Savage Stocks. It looks like you're still on mute, but if you're able to unmute and ask your question, we'd love to hear it. They stepped away. Well, Savage Stocks, if you do remember your question, feel free to hop into this stage chat, and we will get to our best to answer it. But get back to the audience. Cool. So I guess that concludes our Q&A on the engineering proposals that we have active right now. If you do have more questions that pop up about those, feel free to hop into Boardroom and address them all there, and we'll do our best to get back to you as quickly as possible and make sure that we cover all of our bases with that. Moving forward past those, if you're looking back at the Zoom on our slides, we've got a whole bunch of upcoming proposals that are in ideation. And the first of which on the list is my own proposal to establish the operations work stream. I presented at the last governance call about that and went in depth on it, so I'm not going to spend too much time on it, but it is another work stream for a crew of 6 operations assistants, 1 operations coordinator, and 1 work stream leader for us to provide 24/7 coverage of triage escalation issues and testing of regression testing and deployment testing to pair alongside engineers, so we can make sure that there are no issues or problems where we catch them in any of our prod environments before the rest of the community does. It looks like Savage Stocks hopped back up to request his question. I'll invite him back up. Hey, Savage Stocks, did you have a question for engineering?
Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can. You there? like we might be having issues with your microphone, Savage Stocks. I would
There
say
I go. I think I got it
Oh.
working. Can you guys hear me?
yes. Now we can. Go ahead.
For some reason, I can't hear you guys. I'm not sure if there's a setting I don't have set up right or not, or if my phone's just not connecting.
It might be best for you to type out your question in the stage chat, and then we'll be able to have someone else ask it for you.
Yeah, I think we've run into this before, and it might be an issue with the Discord. Let's move Savage Stocks to the audience for the moment, and you can either raise his hand again or put him. You can type it in the stage chat because I think he's having a technical issue.
Okay. Well, sorry about that derailment. Feel like I just to get a quick overview of operations workstream. It's in ideation right now. It will be going up to a proposal either later this evening or tomorrow sometime. So feel free to drop your last comments in the ideation section, or if you want to get more details or informations or ask questions, feel free to start asking and responding inside the boardroom as well with your votes. After that, we've got operate a Cosmos validator on behalf of the ShapeShift DAO, which is also in ideation. It happened to hit ideation at the same time as the operations workstream proposal. And that is a proposal from our very own Marley ShapeShift. That one is for staking some Cosmos and making a revenue stream that we can connect to our tokenomics work stream eventually in the future. I know I didn't propose this, and both of the people working on this proposal are actually away at a team building meeting all day, so they are unable to propose this entire thing in the governance call. I'm hoping that we can set up something next week before next week's governance call for them to get a little more detailed about it. And if not, we will have them on at next week's governance call to talk about it while it is live for voting. Keep things going. We'll move on to the proposal to fund the product workstream through December 2021. And Willie, you still on the stage?
Yep, I'm here. Thanks, Tyler. Hey, everybody. This proposal actually just went live. So it was in ideation for a little over 5 days. There was some feedback, not a lot of feedback, mostly positive support in the forum, but there was a little bit of feedback that has been incorporated. So the budget that's proposed in the official proposal that just went up is actually a little bit less than we had in the ideation post and in the forum. So it ended up being about 10K less than that number you see there. And this proposal is live. So there's lots of details in the post. We did a whole kickoff call that was recorded. And so you can watch the call, you can see the slides, and then you can read the details in the proposal. But yeah, the proposal is to allocate a little under 350K worth of Fox, which will cover the product workstream's anticipated budget through 2021. And the first goal for the product workstream will be to propose a roadmap to the community for which features the product workstream will focus on creating feature specs, mockups, and doing the project management for. Yeah, I think that covers it. We already talked about it as well in the last governance call, so I don't think we need to spend too much time on it. But please, everybody, while we're here, please go to boardroom and vote on the product workstream proposal.
So thanks for that, Willie. Moving right along, we've got another work stream that's being proposed. I believe it's still at a forum post and hasn't hit ideation yet. But Pete, are you on the call, and can you hop up here on the stage?
Yeah, I think I can just make myself a speaker. Hi, I'm Pete Coyne. I'm on the centralized marketing and growth team at ShapeShift, and looking very much forward to the DAO version of it. Yeah, I haven't brought the current proposal over, or the current post that's in forums over to ideation yet, because I needed some more time to talk to some more people, refine my ideas a bit more, and ultimately get some more feedback from the community. Mostly the struggle boils down to, and I just posted a very long forum post with a lot of
awesome data for everybody to start absorbing. Sort of I'll put it in both the Zoom and the stage chat, just so that people can understand where my head's coming from, and to hopefully get way more feedback on it. But essentially, we relied on performance marketing to an extent in the centralized DAO or in the centralized ShapeShift, and I do not want that to be at least our first step as we move into this DAO world. I think that there's a opportunity for network effects to drown out and far outweigh any sort of results that we could have achieved with basically throwing budget at a problem. And I also want the marketing and growth workstream to be, if not the most accessible, one of the most accessible work streams for people to get involved with the DAO. A lot of what we'd like to do is expand our community reach. And I think the way to do that is to be far more community centric. So I put forward some data for people to look at if you're into that sort of thing, just TLDR, and for the people who want to just get a gist of it. But I'd like to put this into ideation in the next couple of days. So it'd be really great if people could go and take a look at it. But some things floating around my head are things like maybe doing weekly calls, or sort of just opening up some public channels where marketing ideas can start ricocheting around, possibly putting more of the budget into more bounties where people can propose or a specific project or a discrete task can be proposed, and people who have the skills to pay the bills can offer themselves up to help us accomplish those tasks and be compensated for that time. There's as of this moment, there are hundreds of people in this Discord, and almost 100 people on this call, and I think that everybody's got good ideas that I'd like to leverage, and have arguably everybody join the work stream. So that's my pitch. Go take a look at what I posted up there. Please take a look at the forum stuff. Give some more feedback, because arguably I think what needs to be done is if we are going to make a radical shift, we're going to need to reestablish baselines for where they were and used to be prior to the DAO, and then work to continue building off of that baseline and hitting growth targets as any growth team should want to do.
Thanks for that update, Pete. Thanks for the high level and the extra details there. I know the kickoff, we went really in depth and in detail there, so it's nice to see that you've got some additional numbers. I'd also encourage anyone who hasn't checked out the forum post to go see what the conversation is going on inside that work stream as we develop it. I'm really excited to see if we can really tap into the community and get some new voices and ideas inside that work stream specifically. So very excited for that, and I'm happy that you're shaping that work stream so community members can be actively involved. Do we have any questions about those work streams before we move on?
Yeah, I think another kind of just call of anyone to either put your question in the stage chat channel or raise your hand here. I'm happy to have you up on the stage for any questions on any of these. While we're waiting for 1 second, I actually have one question for you, Tyler, on the operations work stream. Kind of similar to what Pete was saying. I feel like the operations work stream, especially those operations assistant roles that you've budgeted for, are a really great one to perhaps basically have other community members get involved in the work stream that way. Can you talk about that a little bit, or any plans you have to of how you would train or onboard such people?
Sure, yeah, I think that's a great question. The work stream was definitely, or the schedule of operations assistance for the operations work stream was designed so that we could allow community members to be more heavily involved inside the ShapeShift product stuff. And this is not a role that requires a whole bunch of dev sort of knowledge. I will say I'm personally not a coder. I just kind of work closely with them, and the role here would be someone who is experienced with the ShapeShift product across all its different platforms, the web and mobile, and then experience with crypto in general, ability to understand blockchains, TXIDs, those kind of things, and then using those skills to test all of the products that we have and do recreations of bugs that are reported and brought up through the support work stream. So we're hoping that if this work stream passes, that we'll be able to open up kind of a interview process to the rest of the community to fill these roles. And then depending on the talent pool that we get back, it may be 40 hours full-time work for us to cover all of the schedule, or we may have some kind of deferring positions of part-time roles so we can make sure we cover everything for prod issues and fit it inside everyone's schedule. So if this proposal passes, definitely be on the lookout for a whole bunch more information about job descriptions and schedule and those kind of things.
Awesome. Thanks.
Of course. All right, let's keep moving right along. If we look at the next slide, we've got a couple more work streams being proposed. This might be springing on them, and I'm not sure if they're on the call, but is either Meg or Mr. Nerdhair on? And would either of you like to hop on the stage and give a quick overview of your proposal and where it is in the process?
I think Mr. Nerdhair is in the same team building thing that Marley is. I don't know if Megan's on the call.
I gave Meg an invitation. I do see her. Well, yep, there we go. We'll see if she hops on. And Mr. Nerdhair gave a great overview of this, I believe, 2 governance calls ago. It has not gone all the way to a vote yet, but there's a whole bunch of discourse going on in both the forum post and on the boardroom. So I would encourage you to check out what's going on as far as the security work stream goes. And looks like, hey, Meg, you're on stage.
Yeah, I haven't jumped on stage before, and all of the settings were like cutting me off that whole time you were talking. I'm like, no, I'm trying to get there. Wait. But I think I finally figured it out.
Happy to have you here. I don't know if we've done a kickoff yet for the support work stream, so it might be best for you to introduce yourself to everyone on the call and then give an overview of your proposal and the status.
Yeah, so I don't have a formal proposal at this point, but I'll go ahead and do an intro and just kind of like a little background of where we're at in terms of the stage of the customer support work stream. So hi, I'm Megan. I've been at ShapeShift for a little over 5 years at this point as the director of customer support. So you probably have seen me bouncing around in some of the support channels, or maybe those of you that aren't previous ShapeShift employees, you've maybe interacted with me through a Zendesk ticket or one of my team members. But right now, if you go to the forum, there's not a chat box in here to like drop a link, is there?
We have the stage chat channel right above the stage, so you can drop it in there.
Okay, cool. So maybe I'll do that here in a second. But I'll go ahead and drop what I have called in the forum, which is the support pre-plan plan. And that's essentially just kind of pushing forward, and this isn't really a part of the typical governance path, but I just wanted to make sure the intention was spoken out into the community, that my intention is to pursue providing the traditional customer support path for the DAO. And as of right now, it's kind of just in the early stages, mostly because of life is in the way right now. So I'm a little behind in terms of my other counterparts on work streams. I'm moving across the country in a few days and right now. So I will most likely be giving a more in detail proposal and participating in this governance call a little bit more in detail later in September, early October. So I'll have some more details up then. But in the meantime, I'm going to drop this pre-planned plan post that I shared recently that kind of covers where we're at right now, which is essentially like the intention. A lot of the support that I'm intending to provide is very similar to what we have now, which is a ticketing system, a formal path for customers to write in and have issues resolved. The goal isn't to fully integrate support into Discord, but more so have a presence on Discord, but mainly be working through the traditional path of, we use Zendesk, but a traditional ticketing path. And I'm definitely interested in talking to people who are in the community and maybe on this call that are interested in participating in customer support, learning more about the product, potentially even taking on any leadership roles that might become available. Our main goal will be providing educational materials in the traditional support route. But I'll drop that in the chat here in just a minute.
Awesome. It actually looks like Giant Ken beat you to it and dropped it in the chat. So
that's my boy.
Thanks for that intro, Meg. And I'm really excited to see where your proposal goes, and good luck moving across the country.
Yeah, thank you.
Then on this slide as well, we've got the fair drop, which I know we've seen some community members asking questions about specifically even today. So I think it'd be great for Willie if you could take a couple of minutes and go over the fair drop.
Yes, this one we've talked about a few times because it was one of the first ideas proposed by the community, but has been one of the slower ones to move through the governance process, and I take responsibility for that. I committed to moving it forward, and I could have moved it forward a little faster, so it is not yet in ideation, but we have made progress in getting together that list. So props to Mick Chadwick, who helped me, pretty much did all the work to get together the list of eligible addresses. The last thing we did there was we wanted to make sure we had it right. So in that process, we got some suggestions from community members on contracts that we wanted to make sure were included. Basically, with these airdrops, we're looking at multiple different smart contracts and trying to make sure we have the right contracts. Like, for instance, in this proposal, I guess, yeah, just a little bit of high level. The idea here is to do another airdrop that airdrops 200 Fox to all of the DAO community members that were missed in the initial airdrop because their governance tokens that would have made them eligible for the airdrop were either staked, because a lot of these DAOs require you to stake your governance tokens to be able to vote, or their governance tokens were in a liquidity pool, because like ShapeShift, a lot of DAOs incentivize community members to provide liquidity. So those were some of the the best, most active members of those communities, and they unfortunately were not included in the first proposal, the first airdrop. So there's been a lot of support to do a follow-up airdrop to reward 200 Fox to all of these community members that were missed in the initial airdrop. So we got that list together. Mick Chadwick got the list together, and we basically reached out to all these communities and on Twitter to make sure we weren't missing any contracts, make sure we got the right liquidity pools, or that there wasn't some staking contract we didn't know about. We haven't received any feedback since then on any contracts that are missing, so we're pretty sure we have them all. So my commitment is to get this, to move this proposal forward into ideation this week. I'm committed to that. So by the next governance call, we should have this in ideation. One thing to consider is including the Bancor community in this airdrop as well, so that we don't have, so that if we do decide to do an airdrop to the Bancor community, which from talking to their team would be a great way for us to reward their community for whitelisting Fox for impermanent loss protection and rewarding the Fox Bancor pool with Bancor tokens. So they would basically do a liquidity mining program for Fox Bancor on their decks. Basically, from talking to their team, the best thing we can do there is to include their community in the airdrop. So one thing to consider is also including the Bancor community in this airdrop. I chatted with Nick about this yesterday, and he's going to figure out what that list of eligible addresses would look like so we can make an informed decision there. But either way, we're going to move this proposal for the fair drop forward this week. And we're going to try and see if we can get more information on Bancor and potentially just include Bancor in that ideation, in the airdrop, in that proposal. But regardless, we're going to make sure that there is a proposal for a fair drop up in ideation by the end of this week. Hopefully that covers it. I know that's a lot. But this one, again, there's a lot of good information if you have any other questions about this in the forum discussion.
Thanks for that update, Willie. I know this has been a work in progress for a minute, and I'm happy to see that you're doing the due diligence to make sure we're not leaving any staked funds behind.
Thanks, Tyler.
Looks like we've got, is it Ryan?
That's me. Can you hear me?
Go ahead.
All right. I was wondering if there is any way to get airdropped tokens from doing ShapeShifts prior to that aren't related to Ethereum in any way. So like Bitcoin to things like Dash that I did pretty extensively, but as far as I understood, that was not available.
Yeah, I can answer that. So is it technically possible? Yes, but we would need to build some tools to do that. There's not a straightforward way to do it, and it might be a little messy. So like as you mentioned, a lot of users did trades with ShapeShift that never touched Ethereum. And so if you traded, Bitcoin to Dash on ShapeShift 5 years ago, we have no idea what your Ethereum address is, right? And there are ways where we could have users like potentially sign a message with their Bitcoin private key and then also sign a message with their Ethereum private key. And that way we would know, okay, this person who owns this Ethereum address is also the same person that owns this Bitcoin address that traded with us 5 years ago. So it is technically possible, but that's like the kind of thing that we would have to do in order to know who owns in order to know which Ethereum addresses also owned these addresses on other chains. So basically it would be up to the community to kind of, make a proposal to do that and basically make a proposal to build that tool that would enable us to do that in a way that's not very easily gameable.
Okay, great. Yeah, I know there are a lot of people in Dash. I'm pretty involved in that community, and I know a lot of people love ShapeShift and were very early participants of ShapeShift, and it would probably be great to hear for those people.
Yeah,
Thanks.
I think the biggest hurdle, like Willie said, Ryan, is really just the engineering lift to make that work. So, I mean, technically, the ShapeShift database exists that could pull all those transactions, although it would take some work too. But if there was like a bounty created or rather a proposal created that passed governance, and governance was willing to do something like that for, some amount of assets or other non-Ethereum trades, and there was a way to do it, then it could happen. But it would need to also probably include some sort of bounty incentive to fund the engineering work, is my guess.
All right, thank you.
We could have an even more fair drop in the future. Maybe we could get the Dash community and the Digibyte community and the Doge community. I know they've definitely got some people who've been supporters of ShapeShift for a long time, and maybe we can get a proposal together for that.
Yeah, and we'd probably also be happy to help co-fund a tool like that for at least the Dash community. I'm part of the Dash DAO, so I could kind of direct some of that work, and would be happy to collaborate in any kind of project as well.
In a partner channel to get the conversation started and see where our ideas can go.
All right, sounds good. Thanks.
Thanks, Ryan. And it looks like I've got. Are we allowing non-visitors to hop on the stage or non-members to hop on and ask questions, or do they need to be verified bots? Oh,
I think it's up to you, but generally I allow anyone to ask a question.
yeah. Let's. Is it Sammy?
Hello, my friends.
How's it going?
Hi, how are you?
Well, did you have a question for us around governance or perhaps the proposals we were just talking about with the fair drop?
I don't speak English. I'm Persian.
Gotcha. Well, if you had a question, I think it'd probably be best for us to have you ask that of us in the stage chat, and we'll see if we can get it addressed for you.
Where are you from?
Yeah, I think it's best to just ask in the stage chat in that case. I moved to the audience.
Thanks, John. Well, let's keep it up with the agenda that we've got. I know it's packed. We're down to our last slide of proposals here. The next set, these are all posts that have been in the forum and have not made it to ideation. And I'm not sure if all of them will make it to ideation. Maybe some of them need some more work or some more community members to jump in to help get them across the finish line. We've got the next set of liquidity mining programs from John. We've got Yearn integration from Chow. We've got Ichi from Brian, and we've got Uma from Sean. If any of you folks are on the call, I know John is, maybe would you like to start first and talk about any status on your liquidity mining proposal?
Yeah, and to be clear, it's not actually a proposal yet. I just mostly started a discussion. But I would say there was actually an update just before this call. Looks like Willie posted that he was potentially picking this up to move through governance. But it seems like there was a relative consensus from the community on moving forward with at least rewards for Uniswap V2 continuing past the current date. So I think it looks like, based on his forum post, and we'll let Willie talk more about it, that there will probably be a proposal soon to at least move forward with that and fund liquidity mining rewards for an additional 9 months on Uniswap V2. And then there's also some other interesting discussions going on in that thread about other liquidity mining that might happen for other pools, but I think that will be handled as a separate proposal. But yeah, I'll hand it over to Willie to add on anything.
Yeah, you nailed it, John. Just to reiterate, we'd like to move the proposal just to fund additional liquidity mining rewards for the Uniswap V2 Fox ETH pool that is currently incentivized. Just move that forward as a standalone proposal and continue the discussion around other liquidity mining programs. But we figured the sooner we can move that proposal forward, the sooner we can have it be passed and have certainty that there will be continuous liquidity mining after this first program ends on October 13th. So yes, I'm committed to getting that up to the ideation phase by the end of this week. So stay tuned. Next governance call, that should be up in ideation.
Great, thanks, John and Willie. Looks like we've got Brian on the call. Would you like to give us any updates about where we are with the Ichi proposal?
Sure, thank you, appreciate it. So this week, Ichi had been very focused on a partnership with the Uniswap community. We have a number of new features in terms of how to manage the treasury assets that work well with Uniswap v3 that were designed for it. Some of those are in the audit process, and so we mainly focused this week on getting that done. But I did just circle back and in the chat and get a couple of questions answered about some preferences for the Fox community, and I expect to have a draft proposal by end of week. I expect it to change, right? All of you know the mission of ShapeShift and the Fox community better than me. Put our thoughts out there and then discuss through them and come up with the right numbers for your community. So I think we can spend next week really working through that until we get a final version and put it to a vote.
That's awesome. Yeah, I'm really excited for that. Excited to see how we can work with both of our DAOs together to solve this problem we're facing right now.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Looks like we've got Chow. I always want to say Cow. Chow, would you like to speak a little bit about yours as well?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, it looks like you have feedback though for some reason.
You might need to be muted on Zoom if you're in both.
Seems
Okay,
to be.
I
I think you're good now.
Okay, I closed Zoom. So hopefully that solves it. Yep. So I have the year proposal. There was a lot of discussion on that a couple of weeks ago. I actually am going to go back to it and rework a little bit of it. So when I do that, I will post in Discord. But there has been a lot of conversation in regards to where urine should be added. And so I've been thinking a lot about that. I want to do a little bit more thinking on that, and then add comments there. I don't know if there's a ton of other updates there or if anyone has any questions.
When do you expect, Chow, that you'll list some comments or that we will see something else to review?
Either tomorrow or Monday.
Awesome.
I'll be excited to read it. It doesn't look like we've got Sean from the Range Tokens, the UMA project. So that currently covers all active posts in the forum, as well as anything that's moved beyond that to ideation. So we've got about 8 minutes left. I'd love to open up the floor to any last questions about anything we've discussed or any future proposals that we'd like to get the ball rolling on here. Ryan, it looks like you hopped back up on the stage. Did you have another question for us?
No, I got an invite somehow for some reason, but feel free to boot me back down.
I'll give you the boot. And it looks like we have, in a little while, just joined us.
Yeah, can you guys hear me?
We can. Go ahead.
Cool. How's everybody doing? I could speak just for a minute for Sean from UMA. I noticed that he had updated our proposal. I think he did it yesterday. So we have a couple new ranges that are up there for people to ideate on and offer comments. But we've been working on this some time. It's been tough to nail down the range. And I know that Scott, I think it's Scott, is eager to put this in front of some investors' eyes.
And are we at the point where we're in ideation, or is this still a forum post?
We're still in the forum, but we're right there at the door of ideation. So I'll be interested to hear what other community members' thoughts are on what Sean has recently put up there for us.
Awesome. Well, excited to see where that goes and see if we can really get some community feedback once we are at the ideation phase.
Sounds good. Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Do we have any questions that have been posted inside the stage chat? Doesn't look like much there. Well, no, would you mind putting that POAP back up on the this display screen on Zoom? If you didn't get your POAP, please feel free to point your camera at that QR code and claim it. And is there any other questions we have before we end this governance call number 4? I'll take that silence. Looks like Pete might be joining us.
Yeah, sorry. Selfishly, my camera can't read the QR code, so I'd love the link for the POAP. I love these things.
I'm gonna put it in the stage chat because I think some other people had that issue. So give me 1 second. I'll be up there.
Thank you. I love these things. That's all.
Hey, Chris,
can you hear me? Yeah, thanks.
can.
There was a question earlier about how to get started with the software stack. And since there's engineers on the call, I just thought I forget which of the engineers I was in conversations with, but he pointed me to the GitHub repo and the developer page on ShapeShift website, and how to basically load that wallet and integrate with the keep key, and then it's sort of a debugging. It's a web wallet that's a multi-chain web wallet that integrates with the keep key. So I have not yet had a chance to do that, but for people who are interested in sort of exploring the stack ahead of time, while the company makes this change, I think that's a great place to start. That's where I plan to start, is dust off my old keep key and try and get it integrated with the web wallet.
Yeah, so specifically, I think, Chris, you're referring, I think it was actually Highlander, who's probably on this call. You're welcome to come up and talk about that, but that's an open source repo that ShapeShift already has called HD Wallet. And Adam or DeFi Cafe, either of you could talk about that if you want, but I think that is part of the new open source structure. So that, yeah, it's not a bad thing to look at if you want to just kind of get up to speed on some of ShapeShift's code.
Yeah, so HD Wallet's our kind of core wallet, and which has, again, like architected for adapters for all these different things. So it supports Keep Key and Ledger, and our native software wallet implementation, which is currently essentially headless and used for the mobile wallet and the desktop wallet if you've got the mobile app paired to it. So HD Wallet will be largely unchanged and is in fairly stable state. We're doing some stuff like adding EIP 1559 to some of the wallet support now. But yeah, that's a fairly stable, long-standing code base. So you're more than welcome to jump in and have a look there. But there'll be a bunch more stuff coming on the platform side pretty shortly.
Never was. We just got you on the stage. Go ahead.
Okay, sorry, can you guys hear me now?
Yes, we can. Go ahead.
Sorry, lots of mute buttons. Just on the topic of wallets, this was something that I reached out to Hunt a few days ago about. I know that here in the community, I heard a little bit about the Xd5 Wallet, which is currently in beta. I jumped into their community and kind of reached out to their head of marketing because you have to have a code to actually get into the beta, to activate it, to test it, and see what the wallet functions are about. So I did reach out, and they did give us one specifically for the Fox community. And if anyone wants that, I think that someone will do a post, and we can put that code up there so that they can kind of see who in the community is utilizing it and build off of that relationship if we want to in the future. I don't know if this is something we want to do. I did discuss it with Mr. Nerdhair very shortly, and obviously our conversation revolved around the security of that being a beta. Test at your own risk and don't put a lot of tokens in there. I basically just hooked it up to a ledger just to test the functionality and see what it was capable of doing at this point in the beta. So I just wanted to point that out and let everyone know if that's something that anyone wanted to work with or kind of play around with as a wallet as well.
Thanks, never was. I'm also pretty familiar with the Xd5 wallet ecosystem. I'm excited to see everything that they're working on. I know there's probably a couple of different paths. One, we could open up a partner channel if we wanted to get the Xd5 people inside this Discord for future conversations. We could do that. But additionally, I'm sure that either through the product work stream or a special projects work stream, if we wanted to get together an idea of how we could put both communities together to build something, I think that there's multiple avenues we could exercise there.
I'd just add quick, there's definitely appetite for more wallet integrations. Things like Wallet Connect, Onboard have come up. Certainly welcome Xd5 and all the other ideas we can source here.
No problem. You can kick me off if you want. I'm done.
Thank you for that, Never Was, and we'd love for you to post that Xd5 code inside one of our channels here so we can share it with the rest of the Foxes.
Okay, great. Thanks.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys very much for at the top of the hour. Thanks for a successful governance call. If you didn't get that POAP, please reach out inside the stage chat and get a link so you can get that. We look forward to talking with you all next week about all of the things that the DAOers come up with since. See you next week, guys.